welcome back to the Power and Lifting podcast, but on YouTube. Today, I got to speak with 57-kilo world silver medalist Jade Jacob from France. Y'all, Jade is amazing. She is 20 years old. She's a rising star from France. She got second place against four-time now world champion Joy Nanami. Almost took her out. She literally got second by a half of a kilo. And she's just getting stronger and stronger. At the young age of 20, she could have done junior IPF Worlds and taken the win, but she decided to go into the open weight class because she knew that she was a force to be reckoned with, and she proved herself and everybody else right. I loved talking to her, hearing about her prep going into Worlds, what made her decide to go into the open division, what's next for her. Just so many things. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you love it, make sure you subscribe, and let's dive into today's episode. Okay. All right, you guys. Oh, meant to ask this beforehand. I hope I say it right. Is it Jade?
Yes, Jade.
Yay! Oh, proud of myself. I have Jade Jacob with us, and this is, I mean, you were an amazing lifter. Watching you and that 57-kilo battle was so incredible.
Thank you so much.
So I wanted to just start with asking you, like, going into, well, actually, let's backtrack to the meet that got you into Worlds, because you competed in March, and that meet was a big bump up in your total from the meet from the previous one. You went from a 997 total in March of 2021, and then a year later you were hitting 1026, and that was the meet you did before you went into Worlds. So I'm guessing training was going pretty good.
Yes, training was going great, and in March I already knew that I wanted to compete in the Open. Last year I was with the juniors. So I already knew that I wanted to be with the open lifters. So we decided to accelerate a little.
Yeah, and like, you're 20 years old, so it's crazy because you are a young junior, and last year you won Europeans for junior and Worlds for junior.
Yeah, I'm 21, so next year I'll be 22. I have 2 more years as a junior.
Yeah, so even though, like, it makes complete sense that you went into Open to go against Joy and Bobby Butters and everyone. My question is, what made you like finalize that decision when you knew you could go like back into junior Worlds and like kill it and just take first place, probably without any battle?
Well, to be honest, I was considering it since last year, World Championships of last year. So we knew that honestly, the Open is the ultimate goal. To me, junior, they're still really strong. So we are still strong as junior lifters, but being in the Open is just not the same. You know, the Open lifters, they have a lot more experience on the platform. They are usually they have trained for at least a couple. No, they have trained for I'm gonna say at least 5 years. When in the junior, you can see lifters that are like new or who have been training for 2 to 3 years. So it's just not the same. They are really, to me, it was a real challenge, you know, because I'm the type to be really anxious. So I knew that it would not be easy to go against the open lifters. I know it would be a lot more difficult than in the juniors. So when we were talking with my coach, he was telling me what place of the podium do you want to reach? What do you think you can do? And honestly, at first, I thought that I just could not get on the podium. I was thinking about maybe the squat world record, fighting with Bobby for that record. But as the prep progressed, we saw that actually I could maybe step on the podium, and I started to think that maybe third or second place, no, second or first place. I was thinking about that, but there wasn't any specific thing that made me decide to go against the open. It was just like a goal that I had since I started powerlifting. I knew right when I started, I knew that I wanted to go against the open one day, and I figured that maybe I did not have to wait until I'm sure to win. Maybe it would be better to challenge myself a little bit earlier than that.
I mean, I think in the end, you're definitely happy that you did, because that was seriously quite the battle. And who is your coach, by the way?
So my coach's name is Stanley Audin. On Instagram, his name is Dretor. He's underneath all of my posts, and he's been coaching me so I've been lifting for 3.5 years, and he's been coaching me for 3 years.
Okay, so basically since the start of your powerlifting, almost.
Yes, almost, yes.
That's incredible. When you started with him, did he already, like, were you guys already planning your first meets? Like, did you go to him like specifically like I want to compete right away?
So we were already in the same powerlifting club, so we already knew each other, and he saw me compete when I took him as a coach. I just competed, and it was nationals of 2019. I did a total of I was a sub junior back then, and I did a total of 275 kilos. So yeah, it was the really, really beginning. And right after this meet, I asked him to coach me. And I didn't have any specific goals. I wasn't even in the 57s yet. I was in 52 lifters. So the goals change as we progressed.
Yeah, and so you're saying that also you were part of the same powerlifting club. Like, are you guys part of like a big club that you train with on a weekly basis?
Yes, that's it. Well, I train at my club 5 times a week, always in our fitness gym. So I can't tell you how many lifters we have in the club, but yes, we are a big powerlifting club. We have calibrated equipment, so I'm really lucky on that point. And we train all together as much as we can.
You know, that's so cool, because to start out with your powerlifting journey, to have the team support probably really helps to push you in a way that people who like have to go to a regular gym just don't really have.
Honestly, yes. I have never trained alone, like completely alone, except for the lockdown, of course. But apart from that, I have always someone with me, whether it's my coach or somebody else of the club. I always have a spotter or somebody to pass me the bar on bench. I'm never alone, and honestly, it helps a lot. I know that some people like to train alone in their bubble, but I'm not like that. I'd rather be surrounded, and yeah, it really helps me.
Well, to be honest, when you look at like the best of France, which is you, looking at Tiffany Chapone, looking at Leah, looking at Penna, like it's like you guys all train together. It seems like to be a country where, and with the sport of powerlifting, you guys really like get together to make sure you're pushing each other.
Yes, well, in France, it's I would say it's really important. The hype, around your lift. In France, we like that a lot. People screaming around you, pushing you. In powerlifting, I would say that all French people love this.
And that kind of brings me to my next point, because so powerlifting is obviously getting massive in France. Am I wrong? Am I right?
Yes, no, you're right. It's huge.
Like I can see that from here, which is so exciting because being from America, like powerlifting's been big over here, but I've never seen another country where I'm like, man, it's growing in multiple parts of the country. And so now that it's growing so much, are you seeing like a lot more people your age get involved in the sport?
Oh yes, definitely. Before the 2020, before 2022, I didn't see a lot of new young people coming. For example, in my club. But starting from this year, they all started to appear, I would say. Specifically young people, like you just said, it's hard for them to stay motivated for a long time. So you can see a young girl or a young boy coming at the gym saying that they want to try powerlifting, so they're going to squat, bench, and deadlift for maybe 2 months, and they're going to lose interest because it's not as easy as it seems, and and so well, they leave. But this year I saw a lot of young and really motivated people. They started training at the beginning of the year, and they're still training today. And it's I would say it's really unique, because I started when I was young, like 17, but I didn't see a lot of young people doing it just locally in my town. In France, you see a lot of young lifters who are super strong, but locally, I didn't see that a lot when I was in high school, for example. But now I definitely see it.
Oh, that's seriously so exciting to hear. And so I don't know about this because in America, there's no such thing as the government recognizing powerlifting and paying you at all. But in France, is there like, I've heard like the government acknowledges it, and like when you go to Worlds, they're helping cover it. Is that true?
Oh yes, it's true. Once you reach a certain level, for a level at which you can compete internationally, so Europeans and World Championships, whether you're a junior or an open lifter, you are recognized by the state. So you have like an official status that say that you are an athlete, and it comes with benefits. For example, how do I say that? Where you are, depending on which place you are listed on, the listing, you can be financed for your competition. They finance the flight and the hotel there. You just pay for your food and the flight back. And so, yes, for the open and the junior lifters, yes, you can be financed even if you're a junior lifter. So that's really that's really great, because I know that France is sorry, I'm going to say that we're really lucky in France, because in other countries I know that it's really hard to pay for your trips, because especially for World Championships, you can have to travel really far, and so it can cost a lot of money. And I know it's really a great chance.
Yeah, like, I mean, hearing that, like, to be in America, like listening to that is crazy, because I'm like, I've never heard of anything like that before. It's only really recently that I was like, wait, other countries are recognized by the government for our sport? Like, that is so incredible. And it definitely is going to make more people want to be a part of it too, because knowing that if you do eventually reach that level, that like, you're recognized, like even being recognized by the state is ridiculous, even if you don't actually go to the open and compete.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
You can actually have the status even if you are not financed by the state. For example, if you have a big enough total to be sent to Europeans or to Worlds, but you listed like at 6th place, you're not the state is not going to finance your trip, but you're going to keep your status of athlete. So yeah, that's another motivation.
Wow. And if you actually hit the podium, such as yourself, like first, second, or third, do they also pay you for that too?
Well, it's the federation, the French federation that pays us. You have a prize, but I don't really know if it comes from the state. It's the French federation. The state doesn't directly pay us, no.
Okay, got it. Cool, cool. And from there, let's go into your actual competition at Worlds, because again, like, incredible performance. So you're going into squats. Well, first of all, the travel. Let's talk about the travel. What was traveling from France to South Africa like, and how long was it?
Oh, alors, it was 10 to 11 hours, more like 10 hours. So it was the first time that I took the plane for that long, but honestly, it was fine. I slept on the plane, sorry. I slept in the plane, and I was with other members of the French team, so I was not alone at all. And yeah, it wasn't really physically taxing, to be honest. I recovered really quick, and there was no time delay, so that was another great thing for me, for French lifters.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good, honestly. The trip from the airport to the hotel was more difficult than the trip on the plane, so I was really lucky on that point.
I heard a lot of people mention like it was like a 4-hour bus ride, and sometimes it turned into 6 or 8 hours. I was like, there's so many horror stories from this bus ride. Why was it so bad? Was it like a bumpy bus? Like, was the road dirt? Like, what was going on?
Honestly, I have no idea what was the problem, but so when the French team arrived, we had to wait for other countries to get to the airport as well. And when we all arrived, there wasn't enough seat on the bus for everybody. So a few lifters had to stay up while the bus was driving. So for a few minutes, not the whole 4 hours, but for a few minutes they had to stay up. Then we changed the bus, and it was just, honestly, it was just really long. The trip back with the bus and with the plane, it was better, but when we arrived, a little bit complicated. But I'm not gonna complain, because as soon as we arrived, so I was in the hotel with the French team, and yeah, I've been able to rest and eat normally. I was not, like I said, no time delay, so I'm not gonna complain.
That's definitely a big advantage. I didn't even realize that it was the same time zone. So that was probably amazing.
No, this was, honestly, yes. Maybe I would say maybe an hour at maximum, but there was no time delay at all. So that was an advantage compared to the other countries, for sure.
Yes. Did you have to do any sort of weight cut or water cut? Like, do you typically sit over or at weight for 57s?
No, I mean, for now, I have never done a water cut. So I'm over the weight outside of competitions, like maybe 58 kilos, 58.5 maximum. But so we just decrease a little the calories around the competition. And when I arrived in South Africa, I was maybe 57.2, maybe. And I just, with my coach, we know that when I'm stressed out, it's like I melt, I just lose weight. We don't know how, but yes, I ended up 56.4 at the competition, 56.45 without cutting. I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just because I was a little bit anxious. But no water cut or nothing special.
Oh, that's another convenient thing too. Like,
yes,
right? Yep. And then I know a lot of people, like, it goes both ways. Either you lose weight. Like I also lose weight and I'm stressed out. So somehow before I compete, I'm like 2 pounds lighter. I'm like, what happened? I have not seen this number since the last competition. But I know people who get off a plane and they hold water when they're stressed and they cannot lose.
Yeah.
And it's so much harder. So you're on the lucky end.
That's it. Honestly, with my coach, we wanted to be weighed in heavier than that. The goal was to be weighed in 57.5 or 0.6. That would be great, but we didn't make it.
Again, better problem to have than the opposite. So
for sure, yes.
And it didn't seem to affect your performance because you went into the squats and you hit all 3 beautifully. And when you were squatting, were you aware of what was going on with Joanna Nami and her missing her attempts?
No, I wasn't aware until her last attempt. So I squatted, and when I finished my first squat, the coaches told me that yes, she bombed out, she missed her third. But honestly, I really didn't believe it. Like I saw that she missed, but I was like, no, something's gonna happen. I don't think she's gonna bomb out. And I was a bit out of it, but I was aware only after my third attempt.
Okay. So for your squat, one thing I noticed actually for your whole meet, you hit PRs across the board in every single lift, which is wild because most people don't PR at Worlds, like with the travel and the stress and everything. Like for you to PR every single lift is crazy. So you hit 385.8. How excited were you to hit that PR?
Well, honestly, I was a bit disappointed.
Oh.
Because 175 was supposed to be, if everything was perfect, it was supposed to be my second attempt on squat. So I was not as speedy as I should be with my opener. So the coaches decided to put me a lower weight on the second attempt. And once again, I was not as speedy as I should be. So they only increased with 2.5 kilos. So I'm talking in kilos, sorry.
That's fine. I realized I was like, ooh, let me switch to kilos for her because I'm making it harder.
So yeah, that day I was actually hoping to squat 180 kilos. I didn't make it, but yes, it was my first goal. I was thinking 180 is going to be a huge PR because it's a PR for the platform, for the competition, but I've already squatted this weight in training multiple times. So that was just a little bit frustrating.
Okay. And that makes sense. Like, I get that, but also to even PR at all at Worlds, like, the more I watch Worlds, the more I realize, like, most people come in there and even the first place, like, they're not hitting the best number they've ever hit in their life. Yeah. So I can get being, like, not happy, but also it's just so normal. It's actually been even crazier if you, like, hit every single number you had in your head that you hit in training.
Yes, that's true. But the fact that I was against such strong lifters, that played a part too, because I knew that every kilos count because they're so strong. So I know that I lost a few points on that, and it stressed me out even more.
Well, one thing you're saying too, you're saying your lifts weren't going as fast as they wanted. When I saw your squats though, I feel like you're not necessarily a fast squatter, which is not a bad thing. Like, I feel like when it's heavy, like, it just moves slower. So do you think like your judgment was off when it came to your squats, or do you really think that was the right call?
No, that was the right call.
Okay.
When I rewatch my squats and I feel like my third attempt moved quickly than my second. That was just because I was more into it. But that was the right call. That means that I was just not as confident as I should be, and they saw it. Maybe if they put a lot more weight, maybe I would have been physically capable to lift it, but that would be too much of a risk, honestly.
And that makes sense, right? Like you want to make sure you put a number of bars you're gonna hit, because at the end of the day, yes, it's the kilos that you get that count. So
yes, that's it. And I'm not yet the type to be super assertive with the coaches, like telling them, okay, I know I can do this, put me this weight, I'm gonna do it. So for now, I can do that. Since it was my first Open Championships, I was really unsure of what I was capable of. So my thing was, okay, I listen to the coaches and I'm gonna be as fast as I can on the platform so they can give me more heavier lifts, but for now I just can tell them no, not 175, give me more, I'm gonna lift it. I was not that confident at the time.
And dude, that's totally fair, because like it's your first Open Worlds ever, and if you were like, no, put this on the bar, and then you missed it, you would be like, oh my goodness. Like,
that would be terrible.
It would be. So I'm not gonna lie, I think you did make a good call with letting them put on what they want. Was your personal coach able to come with you, or was it just the team coaches that were there?
Well, no, only the team coaches. Unfortunately, he couldn't come, but we were communicating by text. So he also told me to listen to the coaches, because he knows that I'm super stressed. But so yes, I was still communicating with him, and since he's here at every training, literally every training that I have. So he knows me by heart, and he's the one that told me, okay, that was PD, you can tell the coaches that you have more. And sometimes he also told me, no, listen to them, okay, and stay in your match.
Yeah, well, at least he was able to be watching and paying attention throughout the entire thing. Like, that's definitely important.
Yes, of course.
Did you personally have an opinion about Joy's third squat? Because it did get 2 reds in the first place, then it got overturned. I don't know if you got to watch it live or if you were like in the back, but what was like your thought process when you were like, oh, it just got overturned?
Oh, well, I didn't see it. I didn't see it that day, and I didn't see it live after. So like I said, I didn't really believe it when the coaches told me that she bombed out. I was sure that somehow she would stay on the competition. So when it was overturned, I was not surprised or mad or anything. I was just like, okay, so the competition is still on. Let's go. But after the competition, I didn't wanted to see it live, because honestly, I don't know what it would bring me more to see if she hit depth or not. Since it was overturned, to me, it was valid.
And that's a fair way of looking at it, especially being like competing with her in that moment and live. Like my point of view from home, let me not even talk about it. But but I will say that the fact you had the mindset, like, somehow she's gonna stay in, like that probably helped you not to get phased by it, because you were like, that's what I expected to happen, so let's just keep going.
Yes, I think if I was like super happy, okay, now maybe I can reach the first place now that she's out, and then it's overturned, I would be crushed. The motivation would not be the same. So I'm glad she didn't move out, and I'm glad I didn't believe it either.
Perfect. And then we get to bench press. And I know you got your first and your second. Your second was 95 kilos, which was still a PR for competition. Was that the best that you hit in training?
No, in training, I benched 100 kilos.
Okay.
So that was my goal for this competition as well. But honestly, I was not as disappointed as I was for squats. because I just know that my bench is my weakest lift for now. So I was still happy to reach to lift 95 kilos on the platform. Yes, to me, that was better than nothing, because honestly, my bench is, like I said, it's the weakest lift I have. And it's hard for me to be hyped for this lift. So I did my best. I hope I will do even better at Worlds. But for the third attempt, it was a shame because I lost 2.5 kilos and it could have really helped me for deadlift. But I was not as disappointed as I was for the squats.
Yeah, and I think too, like when you know your stronger lifts are squat and deadlift, like you're always getting more disappointed if you don't hit what you wanted to hit for like your stronger lifts, because the weaker lift you like don't really bank on it. Like you can definitely make up more in the deadlift or a bit more in the squat than you can typically in bench press.
That's it, yes. So I know it's the lift where I lose a lot of points. So I'm even more motivated for my deadlifts after, because I know that's my opportunity to get back those points.
Yes. So at this point, were you aware of where you were ranked after your bench press was over?
After the bench press, no. I was only aware for my last attempt on deadlift. Before that, the coaches didn't tell me nothing. Well, they know me well too, you know, as they are the same ones for every international competition. So they don't know me as well as my personal coach, but they still know that I can be anxious and stressed really, really fast. So they just gave me the weights and sent me on the platform, and they didn't tell me until my last deadlift.
Which, just like you said, probably a smart move. So it didn't happen.
They know how to adapt to each lifter. But I hope that for my next competitions, I hope I will be different. I will be more confident, so they can tell me, okay, you're lifting for the second place now, for the first place now. So well, not next year, but my next competition in September, I hope I will be just a little more confident in myself.
Well, but you know, with more time, more competitions comes more confidence. Like that was literally your first time in open worlds, and junior worlds is not as scary as open worlds. Like, and you know that, like, it's not the same feeling. Like you come out there like, oh, this is it. Like this is what everyone's trying to get to. Like open world. So
yeah, I was so excited. It was really impressive because when I started lifting, when I was still a 52s, I was watching Bobby and Namani Joy on YouTube, Instagram. So I remember I was watching a live. No, it was not live, but just on YouTube. It was Joy's competition, and she was in 52s before, I think, and she opened a deadlift at 190 kilos. I was blown away. I was watching that with my coach, and I was thinking, wow, that's so incredible. I hope I will reach her level one day. And so lifting alongside her and Bobby on the platform, that was so overwhelming. Bobby too. When I was in the 52s, I didn't know her yet, but as soon as I got in the 57s, I started to follow her on Instagram, and I saw her training in her garage. I was thinking that she's super strong. She always looks so determined and confident. And so facing her, that was really impressive.
I mean, that sounds like literally a dream come true, because you're like, I used to watch you from my house and just dream about this, and then you got there and you're like, wait, this is actually happening.
Honestly, it was, I didn't, now that it passed, yes, it was like a dream come true. But the day of, I didn't think of it like a dream come true. I was just, wow, okay. So I'm against them. It's real. That was more stressful than comforting. But now that it passed, I'm happy.
Yes. And so we get to the deadlift, and this is where it all came down to the line. This is where I was screaming in my house. When it comes to third attempts, literally you and Bobby Butters and Joy are all pulling for the win. And what's more incredible is that you all hit your lift when the biggest amount of pressure was on you. So Bobby comes in, hits it, you come out next, you hit your 210 kilo attempts. That puts you in first, and then Joy comes out and she hits her 227. In that moment, after you hit your 210 and you're turning around, you're watching Joy, like what was like going through your mind in that like very short amount of time?
Well, it was honestly, now it's kind of blurry. It's like my mind was blank, you know, because for a few seconds I was at first place, sorry. And when the coaches, they told me that, well, they told me before I lifted that it was for first place, but it's like I didn't even realize it before really putting the weight. And so yes, it was kind of blank. I just saw her lift the bar, and then it was valid. And she came and she hugged me, and it was done. It's like I didn't even have the time to think anything. But and the pressure from the bar that I just lifted, it was still in me. Like it's like I was still hyped. If I could go for a fourth try, I could have gone on the platform, honestly, because I was still burning inside.
Oh my God. Like, you mean you had to be, right? Because you're right. It's like such short amount of time. Like for a second, you're like, dude, like I'm in first right now. And even when you see Joy lift, you're like, but I still got to go against her. So that must have been so much going on through your mind. But yes, still like
yes, it was honestly, I can't really describe it, and I can't really tell you what I was thinking because I don't even know.
That's fair. It's a very short amount of time, and it has been a few weeks. But overall, though, like you end up second place, 20 years old, against a 3-time world champion, which is absolutely insane. And you get on the platform, and they're like, you're standing there. Like, what was the feeling of second place for you?
At first, I was just super happy. I was so happy because when we were talking about the opens, like I said, I was telling my coach, okay, second or first place. But I was telling first place just because I had to, almost just because you have to go there and think you can win. But deep inside, I didn't really believe it. So stepping on the second place, it was, well, for that instance, yes, it was like a dream come true. And the fact that it was just by 0.5 kilos, I just couldn't believe it. I was like, is it real? Like I'm just between Bobby and Joy, and I was I was just so happy. And after that, I called my coach, and he asked me, do you feel okay? Are you frustrated? And I was like, no, I'm so happy. That was so good. And yes, I was still super excited. And so he was worried because of the 0.5 kilos. So yes. At the time, just happiness. And as weeks passed, a little bit of frustration, but the good type of frustration, like the type of, okay, I was so close, next time I'm taking the first place. So just even more motivated for the rematch.
Yeah, I mean, again, you have to be too, because you're just now coming into your best years. Like, you're so young, you're progressing so quickly. that must really give you a lot of drive, because at the end of the day, you probably have to go against him again for next year's IPF.
Yeah.
And you already know
Yes.
it's going to be a battle.
Next year, Europeans, I know that they will compete at the Arnold's. I won't be there. I would be at the junior championships, but Europeans championships, maybe. I don't know, maybe they will be there. And if they are not, well, it will be next year.
Yes, that's so many big meets. And then you said you have a meet coming up in September?
Yes, that's the World Junior Championships.
Wait, the World Junior Championships in September this year?
Yeah, it's first. I lift on the first.
Oh, okay. So we have another World Championship coming up.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm gonna guess the goal is to win, duh. But are we trying to seriously surpass our numbers from your last meet?
Well, not really, no. Maybe I want to do a little bit more, but I don't want to go all out. Okay. So we're gonna be pretty conservative. First, I want to take my revenge on the squats. Like I said, it frustrated me so much. So I want to have a great squat session, do a little bit better on the bench. And then my deadlift is just going to be to wrap up my total. So just a little bit more than the open, I hope, if everything is good. But this year I'm going to be against Maya da Silva. She's Spanish. I was against her last year too at the junior, and she progressed a lot. She's a lot stronger than last year, and so it's going to be a good rematch too. So I'm gonna go for the first place, of course. So I say I'm not gonna go all out, but if she makes me, of course.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So we got another battle coming up. That is phenomenal. And then that means, so next year we'll be doing 3 meets then. That's what's on the plan?
Next year, I honestly don't think that I'm gonna be competing at the junior at all. I'm going to be only with the open lifters. That's the plan. So I can say for sure, but me, to be honest, for now, I want this to be my last junior championship.
Okay, and then going right into open, which again, it makes sense when you're strong enough to go against the best and get second, and only by half a chip, like half a kilo.
Yes. So yeah. I like to have long preps. I don't really like to have competitions back to back to back. I'm not that type of lifter, because I get exhausted really quick. So to me, if I can just compete as an open, I'm happy. I have long preps. I'm more confident, and so it will be better next year, I think.
Nice. And your family, how are they when it comes to your lifting? Are they really supportive of your lifting?
Yes, they're really supportive. When I started lifting, well, not powerlifting, but fitness, because my powerlifting club, so they have a fitness gym, and you can go for powerlifting, but also just to, train like a bodybuilding or everything. You don't have to be a powerlifter. So with my dad and my 2 brothers, so I have a little brother and a big brother, we signed in for the fitness gym, and that's the vice president of the powerlifting club that came to my dad and said, "Oh, your children, they have potential. They can try competing if they want." So when I started, I was with my brother. He competed, and my dad, even though he didn't have any meets, he was always there to support me and my brothers. At first, they came to my meets, but as I progressed, my meets became like they are far from home, you know.
Yeah.
For the nationals that they are in the south, Europeans, I go out of France, worlds. I travel internationally, so they can't come and see me every time. But they watched my mom too. They watched the live, and yes, they're really supportive, honestly.
That is amazing. Do you have any dreams of eventually, like how much are you looking at Sheffield?
Honestly, it's like I'm scared to want to be in Sheffield, because I know that if I try to tell myself to don't be too excited. You don't know if you're gonna be invited, so I try to tame myself down. But I really want to go there. I think if we don't see each other at the Europeans, I think it would be a great opportunity for a rematch for the 57th. And that's just a huge competition like we've never had before. So of course I really want to go there, but I just try to calm myself down, tell me, okay, nothing is sure, nothing is certain. So I don't want to be too disappointed if I don't end up being invited.
And that does make sense, but also just knowing that, you know, in the years to come, if you put up the total, you don't have to hope for an invite. You can literally earn your way in. Like, I definitely see you in the future earning your way into Sheffield if you keep progressing and training hard.
Yes, I'm gonna be. Well, that's even more of a motivation, you know. So that's another goal for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Are you in school right now? Like, what do you do outside of powerlifting?
Well, I work full time. I'm a saleswoman. I sell shoes. And aside from that, I'm just studying for my, sorry, I really don't have that word. I'd want to be a teacher.
Okay.
For little kids. And so I'm studying for that.
Very nice. Okay. So studying for that, working full time, powerlifting basically full time
Yes.
too. There we go.
Yes.
Do you like when it comes to nutrition? Cause I know you're sitting right now in a perfect spot. Like you're a perfect 57 to be like 1.5 kilos over, not really have to do a full on cut. Do you pay close attention to your nutrition? You just kind of eat whatever intuitively?
Yeah, I don't pay attention to it at all, honestly. So it's not that I just eat fast food every day, but I just watch my weight, just to be careful. So 2 months before the meet, I'm gonna weigh myself. 1 month before the meet, I'm gonna weigh myself, and then it's 1 month before that with the coach we're gonna decide, okay, we're gonna decrease the calories a little, maybe if I need to. But aside from that, I just eat. So I still live with my parents, so I eat what my mom cooks, sorry. I eat what they make, and I don't count. I don't have to be careful. So once again, I'm lucky on that point.
That's really, honestly, that's really good because for younger lifters, it's nice to not be like super into, okay, I have to eat this exact amount of food. And that may happen in the future where if you start to gain more muscle, but you're young and you're training hard, so you will gain more muscle. You have to watch it more closely. But while you don't have to, and while your mama cooks for you, I'd be like, I'm gonna just coast.
Yes, that's true. Well, the more restrictions you have, the less you enjoy the sport. So you have to have some restrictions, of course. So the trainings are really time consuming and all, but I'm now I mostly do this sport because I enjoy it, and I know that if I had to count everything that I eat, it would be harder. Like when I said that I was a 52 when I started, and when I started sports in general, it was to gain weight. I wanted to gain some weight. I was like 45 kilos, and when lockdown happened, I didn't, actually, I never competed as a 52 junior. I never competed. With my coach, we talked and we decided to go in the 57s just because I had potential in the 52s, but just because it would be so much more enjoyable for me because that was my main goal, to gain weight. And when you're powerlifting, being consistent and being consistent, it's really important, but you also have to enjoy yourself. Like you have to be happy with the way you look, be happy with your weight class, happy with your nutrition. I think it's really important because it's so difficult. To be honest, powerlifting, it's so difficult. Like the trainings are long, you're exhausted, the weights, that's so heavy on your body. So alongside that, if you're just down because you can't eat what you want, and down because you think you don't like how you look because of your weight class, that's gonna be even harder. Well, I'm not talking about water cuts or everything approaching the meets. That's normal, but all year you have to enjoy what you do.
And I fully I love that you have that mindset. A lot of younger lifters who are trying to fit into a weight class, like you're actually kind of hurting yourself because like you're young and that's the time where you can like put on the most amount of muscle mass and like have fun and just get stronger. And you're right, like when you're really trying to like, okay, I can't have this, and like you feel like your social life's impacted and all of a sudden you're not having fun, those are people who, even if you're really strong, you stop after 2 years because you're miserable and you're like, I just want to smile again. I don't want to go like hate my life. So that's such a healthy mindset to have. I'm really happy you have it.
Yes, and I think that's part of the reason why, like we talked at the beginning, why so much young lifters, they lose motivation so quickly. It's because they see like the top French lifters, Lia, Pana, lifters like that, and they want to be competitive right at the beginning of the lifting journey. So so they're gonna restrict themselves, and because they want to be in a certain weight class. And so, like you said, that's the period where you gain the most muscle mass. So that's a shame. So you quickly you just want to stop. You lose motivation when you could have done so much more and you could have enjoyed it so much more. That's that's a shame.
Yeah, it's funny. People look at the best of the best, like, oh, I want to be just like them. Like someone might be like, oh, I'll be just like Jade. Like she's only been doing it for 3 years and she's got world championships. And it's like, okay, but like you're probably not going to be a world champion in 2 seconds. So you need to just enjoy it and let yourself eat and just fall where you are in weight class. Like just let yourself be wherever. I personally think only the people who are highly competitive and going for either a world championship or a national championship should be like really cutting for a weight class. I think besides that, unless it's a tiny little water, like a tiny, like 2 pounds, unless it's that, like I think you should just do whatever weight you're already at and just have fun.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
You mentioned obviously training is long, which makes sense. I know our training is very long. How many days a week do you train and how long are your sessions?
Well, for this prep, I train 5 times a week. For some preps, maybe sometimes it's just 4 times a week. And so my session, so I train all week and the weekend I just rest. My sessions, they can go from 3 hours to 4 hours and a half.
Woo!
Yes, but I'm gonna be honest. I know that after my session, I have nothing to do. I don't have anywhere to go. So I just have to go home and eat and sleep. So I know that I can take my time. I don't have to go to work after. So sometimes I just take long rest between sets. But I would say, yes, like 3 hours on the average.
Okay. How many days a week for squat and then bench and then deadlifts?
I used to squat 3 times a week. Now I just squat twice a week. I feel it better that way. Squats are growing strong for this prep. Deadlifts, it's always twice a week as well. And for bench, well, now I'm benching all 5 times of training in the week, and going into the real prep for World Championships, it's gonna decrease to 4 to 3 times. We still don't know yet, but bench, that's really the lift that you can do the more in the week.
Yeah, and that does make sense. Like the more that you're benching, because it's a less taxing lift, you can get more out of it. So it's cool that you go to 5 and then you pull it back a bit going into competition, so you can go heavier on the days that you are benching.
That's the reason, yes.
Beautiful. Okay. Do you have any sponsors right now?
Well, I'm sponsored by SBG actually. It started from these World Championships. So I'm super happy. That's another thing that I couldn't really believe when it happened. To me, it was only for, the super elite athletes. To me, it was too high to reach. So yes, SBG, and that's it. I have a contract with I have a partnership with a brand in France, but it's called My Protein. They sell gym clothes and sorry, I don't know how to say that. Sorry.
Supplements.
Supplements, yes. And it also started right after my championships.
That's amazing. So you come off the platform and you immediately have 2 sponsorships. No, really, that's such a big deal. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes, honestly, yes, that's a big deal, because when you start lifting, you don't think about sponsors at all, You just want to compete and reach the level that you dream of. And the stronger you become in the powerlifting community, the more opportunities you have. And that's some things that come with powerlifting that you don't realize that you can have that when you start.
100%, especially like for you, like again, you were at one point looking in your garage, wherever you were, watching Joy, watching Bobby Butters, watching Noemi, like we're watching everybody, and then all of a sudden you're on the platform with them, and then you get off and you're getting sponsors. So freaking cool. You're 20 years old, you have your whole life ahead of you. I really appreciate you taking the time to join me today for today's podcast, girl.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. You want to shout to anybody out before we end?
Well, I'm gonna say thank you to my coach, once again, Stanley Houdin. And aside from that, no, it's fine. Thank you.
Of course. And y'all, I'll catch you next time on the Power and Lifting Podcast.